construction salesperson, a part of our signature family, and probably, if not the leading new construction salesperson in Toronto, GTA, and possibly even Canada for that matter. So incredible business and an incredible business story, incredible drive to really to be as successful as she has become. The drive behind this and the whole machine that supports it is unbelievable. It's an incredible story. So without further ado, Sahara, come on up.
Hi guys, how are you today?
Good, thank you.
Okay, great. So there's a lot of faces in here that I've seen before, but there's a lot of you that I've never met. So just to introduce myself quickly once again, my name is Sehr Mahmood. I've been with Royal Lepage Signature since I first got my license. So that was in 2012. So I've been in the industry for 11 years now. I haven't switched brokerages. I've been very, very happy here. And currently right now I'm doing anywhere from 300 to 450 deals a year, all in pre-construction, and that's been consistent since the last 5 years. So I want to tell you a little bit about how I got started to share, so that maybe that'll enable you to maybe take some of those same steps to replicate as well. So when I first got here in this brokerage, I was literally $80,000 in debt from school. I have no family here. I came here as an immigrant, so I had no database. I didn't go to high school here, so I didn't know a single person from a community atmosphere or a neighborhood or anything. So I literally came here with zero in my pocket and zero in my database. And I asked the brokerage, like, what do I do now? They're like, well, do you have referrals? Do you have leads and so forth? I said, I have absolutely nothing. So what I was told was go out there every single day and try and meet 5 new people. And that's exactly what I did. Now, how do you meet 5 new people? Because I had no sales experience and I literally didn't even know the buildings at all. Like I said, I hadn't grown up here. I just gotten my passport. Like Toronto was new to me, let alone real estate. So what I did was I started with the rental business because this has like a low barrier of confrontation with people. A lot more people are willing to rent with you, but they might not be able to buy with you. So what I did was I went on Kijiji, and Craigslist was a site that was big that day, and I posted other people's listings every single day. So every single morning I would wake up and I had a structured schedule to my day. I didn't wake up thinking, oh, what am I going to do today? I knew exactly what my process would be. The first hour of my day was spent on putting 5 listings of other realtors that I would get permission from on those websites. And I would say that I have an open house from 5 to 6 p.m. at X listing, and then from 7 to 8 p.m. at a different listing. And that was my structure for my day. So I wasn't going around like taking one person to 17 different units till they decide what they want. It was like, these are my ads. If you want to meet me, come here and at 5 o'clock, or I'll be here at 7 o'clock. What started happening was that I started to meet not 5, but close to 30 people a day. So I started to build my database very, very fast, as you can imagine. I would be at that listing. I would literally say, bring your paperwork with you. So your employment letters, your Equifax, and so forth, all the things we needed. Keep in mind, it was a pretty strong rental market back then. And what I was noticing was that I was getting sometimes up to 5 offers in a night for the same unit. The listing agents were like, what is going on here? You have 5 offers for my unit? I said, yeah, I did an open house at your listing. And they're like, great. And I would get those units rented within 1 day. Some days I was doing 2 deals a night. So think about that, and think about the efficiency in the time, and that's the biggest thing that I would stress, is that you have to make your day very structured and time efficient. So if somebody did not take that unit, because keep in mind I'm meeting 20, 30 people a day, I wasn't taking them out the next day to show them other things. I was going back and repeating that exact same process the next day. 5 more new listings, open house at this time to this time. So that's how I started to build my database very, very fast. I did 120 rentals my first year. So I made close to like $90,000, I would say. Then I said, now I have 5,000 people's names and numbers who've expressed interest in real estate. So were they buyers? No, they were renters. But keep in mind that people are not just renting because they don't have money. People are sometimes renting because of their situation. I was meeting a lot of execs who were here from New York, who have like a 1-year contract. These people are making $300,000 a year, and I was meeting a lot of people whose parents had money, their brothers and sisters had money. So I don't discount tenants and rental clients as people who aren't buyers. So what started happening was the second year, I was so good at these rentals that these listing agents started to notice me. And what they started doing was they wouldn't even want to put their units on MLS anymore. They literally said, I don't want to do any paperwork, MLS data forms, here are the keys, go rent my spot out. So that's what I started to do with some of the rental agents, where it was now their listing still, but kind of my exclusive, and I was putting those listings up on Kijiji and Craigslist, renting those out. What started happening was I started to notice in a lot of new buildings that there was agents who would have 5 listings on MLS on the same floor. And I said, how is it possible that one building has like the same listing agent for all the units? So I called one of them up because I was doing an offer on his unit. I said, how do you have 5 sellers on the same floor who are putting their units up for rent? And he goes, oh, because I'm in pre-construction. And at that time, that word was completely foreign to me. And I said, I don't know what that is, but I want 5 rental listings in a unit. I didn't even understand like what he was doing and what that process entailed. All I was thinking was like, oh my God, like this guy has 5 listings. He must be doing something right because they're all on the same floor. How weird is that? So he said to me that, do you have buyers? Because I can introduce you to a project. So I said, I don't have buyers, but I can try. So what I did was I went back to Facebook, because at that time we didn't really have Instagram. So I went on Facebook and I posted an ad for a project that he told me about. It was called Sage in Waterloo. I knew nothing about Waterloo. I still to this day don't know how to get there if you gave me a car. So I posted that and I had 4 people respond. But then I said, oh my God, like I don't know anything about pre-construction. I don't know how to sell Waterloo. I don't even know what that process looks like. So what I did was I said to him, are you willing to help me with my buyers and go 50-50 and do the appointment? And he said, sure. Anybody will say, sure, come. So I took my buyers. There was 2 people. By the way, they each ended up buying 2 units each, not 1. But I took them to the appointment, and I was willing to give up 50-50 to this agent because guess what? 100% of 0 is still 0. So I said, let me have the expert do the pitch. What I did was I recorded that presentation, I recorded the pitch, and I learned very fast on how to do the appointments myself. I literally watched him to do 2 appointments, and I was like, okay, now I know what that process in pre-construction looks like. Next, I said, do you have any more projects? So he said, yes, I have this great project in downtown Toronto where we have an exclusive for 5% down, and it's called LSQ Condos. I was like, okay, great, I'm going to do the same thing. And I thought, oh, this is so easy. I put up an ad on my Facebook, and 2 people responded, and I got 4 deals. I thought it was very easy. But guess what happened? 3 people responded, and they all said, oh, this seems like a scam. Like, how can it be 5% down? Am I going to lose all my money? And I still didn't have that experience, and I didn't even know the area. So I couldn't sell it, I couldn't pitch it, and I completely bombed. So now I was like, oh my God, it was not as easy as I thought. But what I realized is that the reason I failed at that site was because I wasn't prepared. So the next week passed, and pre-construction, there's a project every single week, as you guys know. There's a lot of developments going on in the city. I said, give me another new development. Because by that time, the 5% down program on the inventory was done. The units were sold out. He said, okay, I have a project at Yonge and Eglinton. So what I did was I created a development pitch list. And I said, how do I sell this area? I went and I learned every single thing about that neighborhood. I learned what is the traffic count on that intersection, what are other buildings selling around there, and I really prepared myself with that area and knowledge so that when I go to my database now, I know what I'm talking about because I fluked out the first time and I didn't prepare the second time. So that was a really good lesson for me to learn. At that presentation center, I did 7 deals in 1 weekend. This is my first entry into real estate by myself after only watching 2 appointments before from another agent that I was willing to pay for. If someone said, are you willing to pay $20,000 to somebody else for them to teach you how to make millions of dollars in the future? The answer is yes. So always think with that abundance mindset. If somebody comes and approaches you and they're willing to help you, a lot of agents will say, oh, no, I don't want to pay 50-50 or I don't want to give anything because that's my client. And that's their mindset because they're thinking in scarcity. I think mindset's the most important thing. You have to think in abundance. So I did 7 deals that first weekend from my tenant database. I literally called them and I said, you're renting in downtown Toronto. Do you know anybody who would be interested? Somebody said, I'm willing to invest myself. Somebody said, I have, a mother or a father. One lady, I remember her very clearly. She just arrived from Iran and she was renting a unit, not because she didn't have any money, because she just arrived. She had tons of money. She actually ended up buying 3 units from me within a 3-month time span. So I did those 7 deals and I said, how can I make this business predictable and repeatable? Because that's the goal. I think the biggest disadvantage, and not disadvantage, but most realtors, they don't know where their next deal is going to come from. They're like, am I going to go to an open house and meet a buyer? How do I find my next deal? I was like, how do I make this business very, very predictable and scalable? So I started to take those same steps every single day. I started to post ads now instead of rentals. I used to start posting them for developments on Kijiji and Craigslist. And guess what? People started to respond to me. I said, oh my God, there's buyers that live out there in like Facebook and Instagram and all these. So that was just in my own head that there are no buyers on Kijiji. There was a lot of buyers on Kijiji. I started to find people there. I started to find people in my database. I started to have small educational events. So I didn't name it as a sales event. It would be an educational event. Come and learn about investing. And that was really successful for me. Now, how did I sell 100 units that year? Because that's what I did. I took 100 rentals and turned it into 100 sales the next year. So now the question that you're all going to ask is, but where did you find 100 people to sell units to, right? So some of them came from the tenant list. But guess what started happening? Like I told you, I was a very good rental agent. What started happening was I was so good that agents were giving me their listings. So if you have a unit that you want to rent, you weren't even putting on MLS yourself, they were handing it to me. They said, this is our unit, go rent it. And then it started happening with their clients. And they said, you know what, like I don't want to deal with a $1,500 rental studio in downtown. I live in Mississauga, you take it. So I was getting a lot of leads for listings that I was now doing all the work for. And I remember my first big hit was a $1,500 studio in Yorkville at a building called 155 Yorkville. The agent gave it to me and she said, I don't want to deal with this lady. I don't even want to like list her studio for, you get half month's rent for $700 a month. I did all that work. Guess what happened? That lady transacted with me 15 times in 1 year. I sold her 15 units that 1 year. So all my 100 units were not 100 individual buyers. There was people in there who were buying multiple units. Now, a lot of you will say, hey, that's just luck. Like you got lucky because you met that studio lady. But guess what? It wasn't luck because I was so good at my job that I created that opportunity for myself to put myself in that situation where I was given the rental listing, that I was given the opportunity to meet these people. Because there is no such thing as luck. If you work hard and you do all the right steps, the opportunity and the luck will come to you. So just like how I met this lady, I was like, okay, now I need to meet more people like that. So I started to really like dive into my database, host these educational events. And then I said, how do I scale this? I hosted one event. My first event, I spent $10,000 for a project. It was at Young and Bloor. I was so scared because it was like all my savings were going to this event. One person showed up. I was so devastated in that moment. I was like, oh my God, like I took this big risk now. And I said, let me start marketing outside of my database. And one person showed up. And the reason I tell you this story is because to just give you that insight. So that person sat there, this old man, he's sitting at the back. I didn't even know if I should do a presentation because there was literally one person in the room. I still did the presentation. And that person just sat there, quiet, didn't say a word the whole time. I'm asking questions, doesn't reply. He's just there eating my coconut shrimp that I spent like $1,800 on. And the event ended and he left and I was like, oh my God. This one person came, they ate their coconut shrimp, nobody else showed up except my 4 friends, realtors who came to support me. So there was 5 people in the room, but there was only one buyer. That buyer left. That buyer bought 11 units at that project with me the next day because I followed up consistently. And the reason that he didn't talk to me was because he was talking to a lot of different agents at the same time. He went to 4 different events, he told me, within a 1-week span. He wanted to see who actually had access at that project. So I ended up, through that one event where I thought I completely bombed, where only one person came, and that gentleman right now buys 20 units a year to this day with me. every single project, if I'm stuck, he's my buyer. So what I'm trying to tell you is like, don't look at opportunities like, I don't want to spend any money. Oh my God, what if nobody comes? What if only one person comes? Because these things don't happen by luck. You know, the fact that I put that event on, I put myself in that situation to find that person. Now, after that, you know, I started to do 200 deals a year by myself. And I said, how can I take my business further? That's when I started to get into advertising. So at that time, I still didn't want to spend the money. I'm like, my budget's going to be very, very low. I spent $30,000 that year on advertising on Google Ads. And I'll get into later why I picked Google Ads. But from that 30,000, I made $1 million that year. So I took every single lead and I called it relentlessly 15 to 30 times during that year because I had such a small budget. Because what happens is if you have too many leads, you just won't even be able to follow up. It just becomes like overwhelming. You open your database and there's thousands and thousands of people in there. So I was like, you know what, I'm spending, in my mind, a lot of money. I was like, it's $2,500 a month. I'm going to hang on to every single lead, and I made $1 million that year. And from that year, I started to double my business and double my business. And I started to spend a little bit more in advertising. So what I started to do was do Google Ads. Now, there's two means of advertising that are, you know, out there: Facebook ads and Instagram ads, and then there's Google. But the reason I like Google, and I thought that these were very high quality, is because it's intent-based. People have to actually search the development and then type that project name in, and then your ad will pop up. It's not like on Facebook, they're scrolling at like puppy videos and your ad just pops up and they hit yes and all of a sudden you registered, right? You call them the next day and they're like, we don't know what you're talking about. We don't know what it is. So while Facebook and Instagram's a lot cheaper, I found that Google was very, much more efficient for me. So it's more expensive, it costs a lot more, but my return was a lot greater. So I was able to do a lot of sales through that. The biggest advice that I can give you that if you don't have today is get a CRM. Now, the CRM is what has now made me millions of dollars a year. Does anybody here not use a CRM? So everybody has a CRM. Is everybody consistently using their CRM?
No.
No, right? So I would say that the biggest advantage that I took was being active in my CRM. I would create a campaign every single week of a development that I'm going to pitch, and I would send it out to the database. What happens with the CRM is you can see who opens it and who doesn't. So, you know, if Bill or Bob is opening my email 17 times and I see there's 17 clicks, because the CRM can tell you what links they've clicked, have they just opened the email or have they also clicked on prices and floor plans? So I kind of knew who my warmer leads were from who's interested in that development. And this is something that if you're just using your cell phone to make calls, you can never keep a track of because you don't know. So my CRM was what I think was my #1 advantage. I used it every single day. I was tracking all my calls in there, sending text messages. When I built landing pages and I started to get into advertising, they're all connected from Zapier. They go straight into my CRM and they have welcome drip campaigns and automated text. So my life was becoming a lot easier. Because keep in mind, I was doing 200 deals on my own with like no team, nothing, right? So how can I make my time more efficient? So the CRM is what's going to help you to do that. So if you don't have one today or you're not using it, that's like the #1 advice that I can give you. You have to use it to be able to scale.
What one do you use?
So the one that I use is called Follow Up Boss. It's very, very simple to text and email from there. But there's no such thing as a bad CRM. The only CRM that's a bad CRM is the one that you don't use. So pick any one that you have. If you already have one right now, just keep with it as long as you're entering names and emails in there. Now, I was, again, not lucky, but I'm going to say I had 5,000 names and emails from all the rentals that I was doing. Because keep in mind, I had all these people's like information, right? But like, let's say you know 30 people, but you don't have their emails, and you're like scared, like, how do I call them? What do I say? Could you just call them and say, hey, now I'm like, at a top pre-construction brokerage. We have access to all these top developments. Can I add you to my database so that I can get an opinion from you on my marketing? So a lot of the people that you can call, it's like they don't want to be sold, but if you call your friend and say, hey, I'm started pre-construction, I'm part of a top team, we have great access, can I get your opinion on marketing? Can I get your email? Most people will say yes. So this is the way that I was adding people who weren't already in my database, but who I knew into there. Because what starts happening is when you have these drip campaigns, you never know who's going to respond. And it really increases your chances of doing deals. So I was able to really build on different avenues. There was advertising, there's my own database, there's referrals, and I really, really built a system. Now, in this market especially, like 2-3 years ago, a lot of agents stayed away from pre-construction because they said, oh, we don't have access. Like we can't get a unit, our client only wants a south-facing one-bedroom, we can't get it. This is the market where you can literally take your client to a sales office and get them whatever they want. So this is the time to get in. The incentives now are better than ever. We're seeing incentives that we've never seen before. We're seeing 5% interest on deposits. We're seeing rental guarantees for $7 a square foot for 2 years. We're seeing $100,000 cashbacks on closing. So it's really a good time when other people are not buying. This is the time where you want to focus on pre-construction, add it as a silo to your business, and really get started. What is the way to get started? I would say it's very easy because if you've never done a pre-construction deal in your life because you don't even know what to do, what I started doing when I was new was I would record presentations. So Ryan, for example, is going to be speaking after me. I would record the whole presentation from A to Z and then go and learn that because now the whole project pitch is with me. And I would listen to it while I'm driving, while I'm getting ready, doing my makeup, make it very time efficient. I'm not saying go there, sit down on the computer and start learning it, but are you running errands? Are you making dinner for your kids and so forth? Could you have it playing in the background? If you listen to it 5-6 times, you'll get a really good grasp on how can I sell Arcadia District to my clients right now, right? Because the main thing is we don't know the project. So this is the best way that you can learn the project. The other thing that you can do is you can say to your clients, after this, go back into the bullpen or wherever your office is and say, hey, I have this really good opportunity called Arcadia District. I'm having an event this Saturday from 12 to 4. When are you available? You might not have all the answers today, but what you can do is invite them out and if they ask you a question, say, that's a great question. That's exactly what we're going to be answering on Saturday. What's going to happen is that the developer and their representatives are going to be there and they're going to be able to even do the presentation and answer all your clients' questions. Make it an educational seminar where they can come and learn about the market, and the developer is there now to help you and assist you. We didn't have these opportunities when it was a hot market. Sales offices were too busy. In fact, some of the projects didn't even have sales offices. You were selling it completely remotely. So all that has changed. So now is a really good time to get those people who are your resale clients, because resale clients will only interact with you once in 5 to 7 years, maybe if they don't forget you, right? With investors, what you find is they transact with you sometimes multiple times in a year. So you want to call these clients and tell them about pre-construction because you might think that your clients are not interested in investing, but it's because you've never spoken to them about it. If you have that conversation and you educate them, they will come there and they will buy. So keep that out of your mind and really shut out the noise. Shut out the noise that there's no buyers out there. There's agents in this market, pre-construction agents, who are doing over 100 deals in a single development. I know one of my top platinum friends, he's done over 100 deals in 3 projects this year, not just one. So could you maybe find 1, 2, or 3 buyers amongst all the sites? I think you can, but you have to really put your mind to it, and you have to shut out all the noise, because there's a lot of people who will say, oh, the market's crap and so, but there's agents still making millions of dollars this year and doing hundreds of deals, like you're looking at one. So it's all in your head. You really just got to put in the work. And the biggest thing I can say is this business will have a lot of pressure, but you have to be able to embrace that pressure, and you have to be able to say that entrepreneurship is really just a series of challenges, but how I deal with it and the work I put in is the reward that I'm going to get. And I think the biggest thing that I could say is, basically, if you're not going to prepare yourself, you are going to fail, because a plan, if you don't have a plan in place, then you can't progress. So, like Henry Ford famously said, that whether you think you can or you can't, you're right. So that's it. If you guys have questions, I'm happy to answer them for you.
That was a lot of information. That was incredible. That was awesome. Thank you very much for your time today.
Yes.
Good point.
So what we do with every single development is that we have what's called a development pitch list, which basically outlines the superstar selling features of the development and breaks down the structures that we use for our appointments, whether it's phone calls, in-person appointments, and so forth. So what we're doing today is that if you guys want to go register, we'll send you the outline that we use for every single development that we have. We fill that in, and then we use that for all our appointments, and that's how we do multiple deals in a site. Because it's very hard when you're doing 7, 8, 9 projects the way we are to remember what everything is. So we create this essentially pitch deck and we send it out. So we can give you the framework of that because that'll really help your business. Because if someone's coming to meet you for an hour, you don't want to be done in like 3 minutes and you don't know what to say. But if you know the points you're going to hit, it really helps prepare you for that appointment.
So this is a full pitch deck on questions to ask, what to say, how to
It's
say it,
basically our way that we pitch our site, so we can share that with you guys.
Fabulous, thank you.
And you can interchange that amongst the different projects once you have that structure. Yeah.
You can use it for Ryan's project.
Yeah, exactly. We even have one for Ryan.
Exactly.
So who has questions?
Just get
So I have a
microphone.
Sure.
If the table's turned and I generate some leads, but I'm not able to follow up with them, could I pass them along to your team and they could work them?
Yeah, we can definitely help you out like that. But what is the reason, I want to ask, that you aren't able to follow up with your leads? Are you doing too many deals?
No, it's because I have 2 kids and I'm usually not available. Yeah.
Sure.
Which is exactly the time people are off
Sure.
work and they will talk to this thing.
Sure, no, that's completely fine. And what I would encourage you to do, and like I said, this is what I did at the beginning of my career, was that the reason, it's not that I didn't have the time like you, it's like I just didn't have the skill. I didn't know what to do. So I was using that top agent to help me to learn how to do those, the appointments. So yes, for sure. And if you book an appointment and you have time, you should come and watch. That really helps. But yeah,
Hi, sorry, I've asked some questions.
No, that's-
What do you find is the biggest challenge or objection that people have, and how do you overcome that?
so right now, the biggest objection I would say that people have is, oh, the interest rates are too high. But that's the best part about pre-construction because a lot of the developments that we're selling now are 5 years away. Some of them are even closing in 2029. We sold one called the Q Tower. The closing's in like 2031. So anything, if you can educate them on the strength of the market in general and tell them to stop thinking of real estate as a day trading situation. You got to be a decade trader in real estate, not a day trader. And you educate them that this is not built till 2030. If you look at the trajectory of real estate for the past 50 years, it's gone up. It'll go up and down here and there, but in general, the market doubles every 10 years. So if you're selling them something in 2023 that's closing in 2030, how long is the situation that we're in going to last? Maybe 1 year, maybe 2 years, but the market is going to come back, and that's why you buy now with all these incentives, and then you close in the future when interest rates are back low. So if you really prepare yourself with those objections and you know what questions they're going to ask in advance, they're going to say prices are too high, I'm going to wait till prices come down, interest rates are too high. What we do in our team is we already know the 6, 7 questions everyone's going to ask, and we want them to ask those questions because we already have the answers prepared. The brand new agents on my team, they want those questions asked because that's what will give them the opportunity to look like the expert.
Nice.
Yeah, Blanca.
First of all, I appreciate it a lot. I like your hustle. You're killing it.
Thank you.
To somebody who's looking to start doing ads, what would be your biggest piece of advice when it comes to pre-construction?
So I'll tell you a little trick that I learned in the beginning of my career. And at that time, so actually this was in 2014, I was selling a project called the Art Shop. And there was another competing project that saw me posting that development and said, hey, we have a project and it's way, way cheaper and it's called City Lights on Broadway. So can you come and sell our development? And I was like, oh my God, I'm already running ads. My budget at that time was only $2,500 a month. I can't do ads for 2 sites, right? So what I started doing, and I saw that City Lights was very expensive ad per click, I ran ads for the site Art Shop because at that time the sales were kind of done and there was less, attraction on it. So I started posting ads for developments that are close by but don't have that visibility with the platinum agents. Because platinum agents, when it's a new site, will bid very high and they'll spend $5 grand, 10 grand, 15 grand in those initial launch stages. So what you can do is sell a competing site that has leftover inventory. They'll call you and you'll say, oh, I only have 5 units left, but guess what? I have this great new project right down the street. And that worked really, really well for me. And that's how I was able to do the amount of sales that I did with a very small budget. Because I don't want to compete with the guy who's putting $10 a click as their ad spend. I want to pay 50 cents per click as my ad spend. So that's one trick that you can definitely use right now. Okay, so the one thing that didn't exist when I first got started was how important social media was at that time. I actually didn't even have a social media account myself till 2020. So I was doing all my business just really organically. But now what I found is that with social media, the business comes to me much more easily because it's all of you guys, if you're not creating content, you should definitely be posting stories. You're at an event like this when Ryan is speaking, just take a small 30-minute clip and post it, tag the builder. Let your database know that you're in the know with pre-construction, that you're meeting with all the top marketing teams and developers. It's a huge thing that Jeff has brought this opportunity to you where the builders and the marketing companies are coming to you. You had to just stroll down from your cubicles 5 feet to be here. I didn't have this opportunity when I first started. I couldn't even get in touch with a builder if I wanted to. They'd be like, who are you? They don't want to talk to me. Here you have they're in your room in front of you. So use that opportunity. Take a photo after. Ryan, are you available for photos after?
Sorry guys, no time
Take a
today.
photo. Tag him. Hey guys, I have this incredible opportunity. The builder, the marketing team is here speaking with us. We're the top pre-construction agents in the city. You have to start posting because a lot of people, even on my own team, say, oh, well, our friends are 26 years old. They don't have any money. Stop thinking that way because you have to really start building your brand and you have to be visible. Because maybe your direct friends don't have money, but do they know people have money? 100%. Maybe their parents do, maybe their cousins do. You don't know who they know. So always keep posting, be on top of their mind. Even if nobody buys, don't worry about it. In the beginning, if your Instagram is very, very new, post 5 developments in one day. A week from now, nobody's going to know that you posted them all in half an hour. You're going to be look at your Instagram page and say, wow, this person's really active. They're with this developer, then they went to that event. So just start posting. I think Signature even sends an email with the post made for you. The least you can do is put the carousel with the rotating amenity pictures and so forth. And then when you're at events like this, definitely always keep posting. Build your social presence so people can see you as that pre-construction agent. So when they're ready, you come to their mind. Because if you're not posting, people are going to forget you right away. I get a lot of business from social media now.
Amazing, sir.
What do you answer to the people who reach out to you and mentioned about the pre-construction price for $1 million for 2028 or 2027, but now we can buy a condo $500,000?
In the resale market?
Yeah.
There's still a lot of developments out there where the prices are not $1 million. They're a lot cheaper than that. I personally just sold a development right now called Park Road, where the price in Yorkville, it was $14.50 a foot. I mean, it was such a good...
Resale.
Yeah, but I'm just saying,
How do you educate the people to buy the pre-con? Because I personally...
So this is what I would say. If you have buyers who are ready to buy resale right now and close at 7% interest rates and have a mortgage that's going to, spin them $3-4 grand, negative cash flow a month, sure. But pre-construction to me is a very safe bet. So, I educate them that you're just putting down, sometimes it's 10% deposits, sometimes it's 15% deposits, but you're getting capital appreciation on that full 100%. I like to sell projects that are 2027 and beyond because it gives time for the money to grow so people are not worried about what's going to happen in the next 24 months. Because I think that's what people are mainly worried about is what's going to happen next year and maybe 2025. Most people are pretty okay with, is the market going to be back in 2026, 2027, 2028? Yes, definitely, because you have to look at Canada and what's happening with immigration. So educate them on the fact that development charges are, getting higher and higher. This is the time to go, because next year, the development charges are going up at 23%. So is now a good time to buy, to save on that? 100%. You're getting a lot of good deals now, and there's a lot of builders that are giving really good incentives. I have a project that I was selling at Bathurst in St. Clair, and the builder was giving $100 grand in commission that you could use towards your clients, essentially a cash back for them if you want to bring their price down. So there's a lot of opportunities right now. But if you have a resale buyer who wants to buy, no problem.
Sorry, Dre, last question.
That was my question, but just jumping off, you
Yeah.
mentioned you're not looking at selling projects that are 2027, 28 or later, do you pick and choose which projects you sell and get involved with?
Yeah, of course. So we have a lot of developers coming to us all the time. We pick and choose about 20 a year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does the same developer expect you to sell in downtown Toronto as well as the less favorable area?
Yes. So, I mean, listen, sometimes we look at the numbers, and if the numbers work, great. Sometimes, you know, like before, I would say, oh my God, I don't sell in Kitchener, I don't sell in Waterloo and so forth. But now, a lot of the numbers in the suburbs actually make sense. So we have started to broaden out. Yes, the developers will expect you to sell, but you get to pick and choose at the end of the day who you want to work with and which projects you want to work on.
Thank you. And congrats.
Yeah.
Sarah,
Amazing, Sarah.
My introduction that your work ethic is second to none.
Yeah.
So congratulations. Your story is truly so amazing to hear and so impactful, I think, for all of us here. And I really wanted to share that with all of you today. I hope you got a lot out of it. I know I did. I still have a lot of questions.
Yeah.
I'm going to be asking, I'm sure. But sorry, go ahead.
The one thing I want to say is like the biggest objection that I hear when I talk to real estate agents is that they say, we don't want to sell pre-construction because we want now money and we don't want to wait. But guess what? Guess what that waiting has done for me today in this market? In this market now, I have $10 million in commissions just waiting for me. So while other people are struggling to do their next deal, you're setting up your retirement plan for the future by selling pre-construction because you'll get paid like half maybe in the next 1 year, and you don't get that half for the next 3, 4, 5, 6 years. And that's the biggest thing, that's your biggest advantage. Because now I'm in this situation today where people are stressed out. I'm like completely like, I'm chilling, you know? So that's why you should add pre-construction to your business. And that's what I did when I was a rental agent. I kept doing rentals and then I added pre-construction to my business. In 6 months, the money started flowing and I transitioned out.
That's awesome.
Amazing.
Very cool. Sarah, thank you very much.
Thank you guys.
Awesome.
I'll give this one to you.
And please register so we can send you that development
Yes,
kit so you can
register.
go and sell Arcadia District this weekend.
LSQ,
That's right.
LSQ.
LSQ.
Oh, sorry, LSQ. I'm sorry.
You need a vacation. Maybe tomorrow. You know what, guys? I just want to say, first of all, thank you to Jeff for inviting me. This is by far one of my favorite brokerages to visit. I have so many friends here and so many agents that I've done so many deals with over the past 10 years. It's
Yeah,
been 10
at
years
least.
since Jeff and I on the dot. 2013.
Did you go and
I
check
remember.
before?
Yeah.
Jeez,
Yeah.
make me
So,
look bad.
so Jeff has been incredibly supportive of our developments, and we've done so much good work together. And then to Sarah, I'd like to say this. You just heard her story. I've actually had the privilege of witnessing it front row, 2013, like building it up from nothing. I saw it. Sarah and I were just starting out, and she was saying something. She probably already knows what I'm gonna say. She was saying, like, you know, call your clients and tell them, hey, come visit me in the sales center or whatever, right? So rewind the clock back 10 years. We were selling a development at Yonge and Eglinton, and people used to come into our sales office. I was a sales rep on the floor. People used to come into our sales office, and I was the sales manager. And they would come up to reception, and they would come up to my receptionist and say, hi, I'm here to see Sarah. And my client was like, or my receptionist was like, okay. They're like, yeah, there's a sales information session here now. So we would not even know what's going on, right? Because Sarah wouldn't let us know until we got to know her, and then it was like an everyday occurrence. So I told my receptionist, like, call Sarah, see what's going on. So it was like, yeah, I'm on my way. I'm just finishing up another appointment around the corner. I'm going to be right there. And boom, Sarah would show up, and she would literally be there all day, and all day people would come in to my receptionist. Hi, I'm here to meet Sarah. They wouldn't even know what she looked like because you were just starting out. Like, it was so fresh. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And constantly they would just come into the sales center looking for Sarah, and my receptionist became part-time my receptionist, part-time her personal assistant. She would call her all the time and say, Sarah, John is here for you. Sarah, Bill is here for you. Sarah, George is here for you. And Sarah.
And the one thing that I would say was, like, the reason that I was able to do so many deals at those sites was because I was there every single weekend. So what I would do is I would call these leads that I had in my system and make calls from there. They said, oh, I'm right around the corner. Now I'm not like, oh my God, I'm all the way in like Brampton and I can't. Like, I would just work from there all day. So if somebody showed up, great. And one time, and Ryan doesn't even know this, but one time I was at the art shop, and these people, it was a busy sales event day, and I was standing outside, like, taking a phone call, and these people were, like, walking out. They were really frustrated, and they're like, oh, we were there, and there was no one helping us. And I was like, oh, no one's helping you? I'll help you. I sold them 2 units that day to somebody I met outside of the presentation center. Was that luck? No, because I was there every single weekend. So, of course, I'm going to meet people that I've never met before, that I don't even know, and sell them units.
You make
So
your
you
own
have
luck.
to take, you make your own luck.
You make your own luck.
Exactly.
So look, guys, if you're up for it, here's what's going to happen in the next 35 minutes if you give me the time, okay? I came here to actually do a presentation about a
Get out of your
project
way.
that we
Get
have.
out of your way.
Thanks, Jeff. I came here to do a presentation. Thank you, Mitch. About a project that we have literally 6 minutes from here. We just did that drive. But after hearing Sehr speak, we have a really awesome short presentation about, we call it Precon 101. It's like an introduction to Precon for agents. Are you guys up for it? Do you want me to take you through that for like 10, 15 minutes and then get into the rest of it? Okay. Okay. So let's jump into that because I don't want to take too much time. You guys all know what pre-construction is in Ontario. By the way, I will ask this before. You could take pictures for your own reference, but please don't post pictures of this online. It's like our own thing we do with select groups. Precon in Ontario, you guys all know what Precon is. I won't spend time explaining to you, but the reason why it's such a huge industry, we have a massive shortage of housing here in Ontario, and for developers to actually start building, they need at least 70% of the project, what we call pre-sold, which is kind of what Sehr specializes in, right? Developers need to get 70% pre-sales in order to secure the construction loan to actually build a thing, right? And so what we find happen is that a lot of the investors over time are saying, okay, I have time on my side. I have 4, 5, 6, 7 years until the project is ready. Let me buy into that project early. And in exchange for that, the developers are actually generally giving them the best deal possible for adopting early because there's upside to both. The investor has an upside by investing early because the future appreciation is coming. And the developer has an upside to sell it at a slight discount from what they would really like to sell it for because they want to get those sales really quickly. Now, the benefits of Precon, you buy a unit today, completely hands-off for 4 to 6 years generally. You buy with a staggered deposit structure, so 15% down, stretched out over 2 years. One of the biggest benefits, and Seher's touched on that just now, I don't think if a lot of you have caught on, but just in case, quick math exercise, okay? If I have $100,000 to invest, and I buy $100,000 worth of Apple stock, and the stock goes up by 5%, how much money did I make? 5,000? Did you guys say that? Yes. Don't be shy. This is not the time to be shy. Now, if I take that same $100,000 and I put it as a down payment on a $600,000 Precon, right? $600,000 unit. Now the market goes up by that same 5%. How much money did I make? How much? 30,000. Same 100 grand, right? Leveraged investment versus none. Secured by an asset versus none, right? Same investment, 6 times the return, right? That is what's so appealing in Precon, is the leverage component. And when you invest in a new building, there's also no rent control. So every year you can update your rents to whatever the market rent is. You receive a new home warranty that protects you. Guys, this I bet 95% of the people in the room do not know, is that every time you buy pre-construction condos in Ontario, the developer is obligated to pay you an interest on your deposits. Okay? Did you guys know that? By a show of hands, how many of you knew that? Look around, 6 hands, right? Right now, if you're buying Precon, your deposit actually gets, per the law, legally obligated, every developer, 5% per year. So really, it's like investing your deposit into a GIC, but committing to that whole asset with the leverage component. Do you guys see the upside? Okay. Next, pre-construction and the development cycle. Development in our province is so painful. Guys, it is so painful to be a developer. I'll tell you why. You identify, let's say a developer identifies an acquisition opportunity, they underwrite it financially, they do the due diligence, all is good, they close, right? Then they begin the entitlement process. Does everyone here know what the entitlement process is? It's the process of zoning the property. Taking a project, taking a piece of land, and converting it from whatever it was to high-rise residential density site, right? Here's the problem. Toronto is one of the, actually Canada as a country, has the longest zoning period out of the G7 nations. It takes the longest amount of time to zone properties, to rezone properties in Canada. It is painfully slow. To go from here to here, 6 months. To go from here and finish the zoning process, 2 to 3 years. Easy 2 to 3 years, right? So when a developer takes on a project, they have this massively long time horizon that us, realtors, the buyers, have no even clue on, because we don't actually hear about that project until we get here. And at that point, it's already 3 years later, 3 years past the acquisition. Once we begin marketing, we'll launch the sales, assuming you got 70% quickly in sales. You'll negotiate, the developers will negotiate and finalize the construction loan. They'll begin construction. This point to close takes about 4 to 5 years, right? Altogether, the horizon is so long. And real estate development is so tricky. A lot of people think it's just like this easy industry where developers make a ton of dough, ton of money. That is not the case. They do well, don't get me wrong, but the level of risk is absolutely massive. So we broke down for you what are the major components as it relates to pricing. Have a look, Jeff, if you can catch it. 35% of the costs are actually construction costs and only rising, right? I'm so flattered. Are you guys taking a picture of me, or are the slides that good? Good?
You do, yeah.
Thank you.
It's the hair today.
Brush your hair now.
35% construction costs. Here's my favorite. 20% in government fees, up to about $150,000 a door, right? How crazy is that? The government keeps telling us we have an affordability crisis. People can't afford homes. But then they go and they literally capitalize off of the development industry in a really aggressive manner, right? Every unit can go and pay up to $150,000 in taxes. And it's not like typical taxes. It's not like property taxes. It's development charges. It's community benefit charges. It's a million little charges that have nothing to do with anything and are only applied to pre-con, right? Pre-con often is looked at as the goose that lays the golden egg. Do you guys know what I mean when I say that? Every single deficit that the city runs on its budget, generally they're saying, you know what, we need more money, let's create another tax for pre-con. We need more funds, we need to offset this cost, let's create stuff that has nothing to do with pre-con is offset by revenue from pre-con because the industry was thriving for so long, right? But now what they've done is that they've suffocated that goose and we no longer lay golden eggs because the cost has ballooned so high in a big part because of this, and in a big part because it takes so long to zone. So developers have to account for carrying their land. Like if you buy a $100 million site, right? If you buy one of our clients actually bought a $120 million site, 7% land loan, okay? Interest portion only on that site is $7 million a year, almost $700,000 a month in interest only. Do you think it makes a difference if they can go to market in 6 months or in 3 years? If it takes them 3 years to zone, they just paid $21 million in interest, only interest, right? If they could come out and get that zoning sooner, they would be able to bring those costs and transfer them over to the buyers, but they can't. They have to offset their own costs. Soft costs, architectural engineering, financing, my favorite, agents commission, that goes in here. Acquisition costs, 15% generally. And the profit margin is 15%. So is development a lucrative industry? For sure. Do you have to have a very deep level of knowledge? For sure. Do you have to be an expert? For sure. Does this look appealing? It definitely is when you're talking about the amounts, but the risk is this. So much can go wrong. In Ontario, in Canada, and Toronto specifically, if you don't have at least 12% profit margin, 90% of the construction lenders won't even give you the construction loan, right? Think about how thin the margin for error is here, right? If it takes you another year to zone and you have to pay another $7 million in interest, if that drops to 14%, construction cost goes from $400 a foot to $450 a foot, multiply that by a 500,000 square foot site, $20 million comes down to 13%. Like, you see how the margins could just disappear like that before the project just becomes non-viable? That's the fine line that developers walk every day. Here's how you pick a project for your clients. First of all, focus on the developer's reputation, location, the public growth policy, infrastructure, holistically what's within the offering, and then dive into the building features, the amenities, the floor plans. Sehr touched on this really, really at a high level. I will remain at a high level, but I will add a couple of things. Number one, how many of you here would consider yourself a pre-con expert? 2 people. Oh, you too?
Yeah.
What a coincidence. 3 people. Okay, let me ask you an honest question, and guys, please don't be shy to answer. How many of you here think that you're a good salesperson? That you're good at sales? Most of the room. Would you guys say that maybe I could be a good person? Would you think I'm a good salesperson? I'm actually not good at all. And the reason for that is that if I don't believe in what I'm selling, I cannot sell it to you. How many of you are like that here? That is a great principle that will serve your business well over time. If you want to excel in our business, you could build a pipeline of new contacts, throw them into your CRM, that will help for sure. But ultimately, you have to win clients over, right? When Sehr tells you that there's one person that attended her presentation and that guy's now doing 20 deals a year with her, do you think Sehr want him forever? For sure, right? You have to win these people over, and then they want to do business with you, right? They want to give you referrals. You have to really advise them based on what's the best outcome for them. If you find the best outcomes for your clients, you will get the best outcomes for yourself. But the two cannot live separately. You cannot find your clients a crappy outcome and expect great results for you. In a short term, sure, I've seen agents sell their clients absolute junk, knowing that it's junk, just looking for that 4% commission. That person is never doing business with that agent again. Never, never. And I've seen agents that build a massive referral network. One of the, I would say the steadiest, and they know him, but one of the steadiest pre-con producers that I personally know, whatever site you want, he could do deals there. He could do deals there. He doesn't have social media, no online presence, nothing. His entire business is referrals. He does over 150 deals a year, right? But he's 100% honest. He comes, we sit down with him before we launch a project, we take him through it. If he's into it, he says, I'm in. If he's not, he says, I don't think that's a good fit for my clients. And then there's nothing we could say to convince him to sell it. He won't. He won't. He just sells it if he believes in it. If he doesn't, we can't convince him to touch it. You guys know who I'm talking about? Do you know? Do you have a guess? I'll tell you after. So take the time, qualify your clients, but before that, become a specialist. Don't sell every project that comes out. There's been 30 launches this fall. I'm actually not exaggerating. 30 launches this fall, right? Not every project is good. Not every project makes sense for your clients. Not every project makes sense for your database, but certain projects do. So focus on those. Really identify for yourself what makes sense. What makes sense for me? What do I believe in? If I believe in it, my clients will believe in it. Let me take them there. Then figure out, do you fall into the digital marketing bucket? SEO, social media, is that what you want to invest in? Do you have a more traditional business where you call your clients, you call your sphere, you do networking events, you do buyer seminars? Maybe you do both. But start doing it proactively, because I will tell you 100%. Jeff just told me there's 1,500 agents in Royal Lepage Signature. How many of us here today? 80? 80. 80. So that's about 5% of the total brokerage, right? Maybe another 10% of the agents in Royal Lepage Signature right now are busy doing showings. What are the other 1,000 agents doing right now? Sitting on the couch, watching Netflix, taking the dog for a walk. There's time for that, don't get me wrong, but what I'll tell you is this: if you don't immerse yourself in education when the market is cold, you will not be ready to service clients when the market gets hot. I'm telling you 100%, I've seen it. I've seen it. So immerse yourself in the opportunities that are given to you by the team. This is incredible. Just hearing Sehr speak, even though I've known Sehr for a long time, we've done hundreds of deals together over our 10-year history together. Even when I hear her speak, I get inspired, right? And I'm surrounded by a lot of pretty inspiring agents. So take the time, do this, guys. Don't just walk out of here feeling all motivated. Oh my gosh, I just had this amazing pre-con session. Sehr told me about a business. Ryan told me about a business. Walk out and get into the car and forget about the whole thing. Like, what's the point? Take the step. Qualify your clients. When you've picked a project, qualify your clients. Make sure you call your network, understand who in your network responds to what project. Maybe some people in your network are looking for something super high-end, boutique, you know, downsized from a massive home. That could be one project. Maybe someone is looking for a project like LSQ, where it's, you know, catering to young professionals, young families, singles, investors. That could be another project. Really understand who goes where, and then take the time and prepare your clients through the buyer's journey and prepare them for and educate them about the project that you've picked. In the lead-up cycle, most developers will launch their lead-up campaigns about 10 weeks prior to the launch. If your client knows nothing about a project until the day it launches, is it too late for them? It probably is too late, because Sehr is probably handing in 100 worksheets by then. And now you're competing with someone like Sehr. And we have 30, 40 Seirs, right? No one is as special. But.
Oh, thank you.
But we have quite a few agents, not a ton of agents, but we probably have a few dozen agents that perform to that level consistently, right? So while you're just in your client's living room trying to call them and make an appointment to see them and sell them on the project, we already have a backlog of deals coming in, generally in a normal market, right? Where if you pick a project in the lead-up campaign and use the drip that the developer does and drip it out to your clients, by the time the project launches, they're halfway there, right? Think about it. A developer releases the renderings. You're nothing but a funnel. You take the rendering for the developer, you send it out to your clients. Hey guys, check this out, new renderings for LSQ. A week later, the developer comes out, shows you the amenities. Move them out to your buyers. Hey guys, the project that I sent you last week, here are the amenities. 2 weeks later, the developer shares floor plans. Here are the floor plans, guys. Let me know what you think. 2 weeks later, the developer shares price ranges. Here it is, guys. By the time you're at the launch, they're pretty advanced stage, right? Now you can have a conversation with them about, okay, what's your price range? Where are we going with this? So be proactive about it. Let's say they want to buy. What's next? APS and amendments. The developer prepared those. It's not like resale. Upon signing, you get a 10-day cooling off period. The rescission period, that's 10 calendar days, not 10 business days. In that time, the buyers provide the deposit checks. They begin to attain their mortgage approval. But most importantly, guys, the 10 days are there for a reason. Take the agreements to a lawyer that is familiar with pre-construction. Is there someone that the office works with?
Yeah.
Yeah, there are. Okay. In a lot of offices, you don't have that. A lot of agents that we see that come from resale actually take the pre-con agreements into their resale lawyer, and the resale lawyer gets a heart attack. Like he doesn't even know what to do with that, right? And then, you know, half the time, the lawyer kills those deals because they're just not familiar with it. It's not that it's not the standard. They don't know what it is. If you take it to a lawyer that specializes in pre-con, they know it. They're familiar with it. They can advise you, okay, watch out for this, budget for this, get ready for this, we could cap this, we could remove this. They could help you, they could advise you. Take the time to do that. For the sake of transparency, which is our philosophy, we want to only do business in a really transparent manner. We've also outlined some major purchase considerations for you and your clients. Get familiar with these additional adjustments that we talked about. Things like development charges, community benefit charges, talk about how the HST is rebated and how it's processed, miscellaneous fees. You want to make sure your clients budget for them. You want to make sure that they purchase in according to their budget. And again, I've seen it a million times in a hot market. Someone walks in, they have a $600,000 budget, their agent pushes them, and they end up with an $800,000 unit. The agent is thrilled, right? They just made an extra $8,000 in commission, right? The problem is, in 5 years, when the buyer has to take that unit, close, they don't qualify for that extra $200,000 they spent. Guess who they blame? The agent. It's really, really funny with buyers, I notice. Here's what happens. If you made them a ton of money in pre-con, when they close and they made a ton of money, they're like, man, I'm so smart to invest in pre-con, you know? And if they close and you didn't make the money, they're like, my agent screwed me. You can't win. You can't win. But that's what, exactly. So make sure that you're familiar with all of these and your buyers are protected, and then plan for your client's exit. Right now, we're seeing an assignment market that's pretty tricky to navigate because a lot of agents put buyers in units 4 or 5 years ago, and now the market is not ideal and they can't assign, and that was their only exit. The only exit was an agent told him, hey, buy this today for $600. When it closes, it's going to be $800. You made $200,000. You're welcome. But now we're not in that market. There was no other exit strategy, right? Take the proactive approach and understand, okay, maybe assignment is the objective, but what happens if we can't assign? What are the rentals like? How rentable is that unit? You know, what kind of cash flow will it yield? How hard is it to rent it? What are the tenants' quality like? Where am I going to have to get a discount? Make sure that you're aware of every possible outcome so you can better protect your client. Taking possession, you have the interim occupancy, you have the closing. Interim occupancy is when you don't own the unit yet, but you can now move in or rent it out. You want to make sure, again, that you negotiate the ability to lease during occupancy so that your clients can generate cash flow day one. And on final closing is when the ownership transferred to the buyer and the balance of the purchase price is paid, the mortgage kicks in. All right, Chris, we gotta do something about this picture. It's like, sorry about that, guys. I'm gonna change it up. Master the pitch, understand why behind the project, understand the reasons to buy in that community, really probe for your client's actual needs, and highlight the selling points, and be ready to become an expert, a subject matter expert, okay? When I say become a subject matter expert, I mean the project, but I also mean about the market in general, right? Sarah was talking about how in 4 or 5 years we'll get out of this current economic downturn, right? Which is highly likely, right? You want to know what's going on in the economy. You want to know what's happening with immigration, the factors that are impacting where real estate values will go. You want to understand those. You want to adapt your sales techniques and tailor them to the project that you're working on. And you want to continuously educate and enhance your skills, right? You know what? This is an important one. Sarah was talking about CRM. I'm talking about infrastructure in general, right? Build an infrastructure for your business. Take your real estate practice seriously. If you don't have a CRM, use one. I saw when she asked, everybody here has a CRM. That's a great first step. Everyone has to take the time to use it. Use it, right? Create newsletters, create a communication outreach strategy. Really talk to your network and constantly engage them so that they know. Oftentimes, actually I'll ask here, how many of you here had people in your network that bought pre-con, but they didn't buy with you?
Me.
Half the room.
Every day.
Every day. Sorry to hear that. You don't apply to this logic, though, because this logic applies specifically here, because the reason why your clients don't buy with you or didn't buy with you is not because they don't like you, they don't think you're capable. They have no idea that you do pre-con because you probably have never presented them with an opportunity that would engage them, right, that would entice them. They probably look at you and say, that's a good resale agent, right? So if they have a resale question, maybe they'll call you because they know you do that. But if they knew you do pre-con, they would start calling you about pre-con as well. So like Sahir said, post, talk to your network, use social media in your advantage, create a newsletter, talk about that specialty. Take the time to walk into sales centers now, even if you have no clients, just to understand sites better, to understand the opportunities better, to understand what's out there better. Immerse yourself in it, right? And you'll see a difference. You don't need to sell 100 units a year. If you sell 5 units a year, you just gave yourself a $100,000 pay increase, maybe 150, right? Can anyone here use an extra $150,000 a year? Just me and you? Okay, whatever, I'll take it. So like I said, you guys, I paid her to be here, by the way. Thank you. Thank you. So again, you're going to leave here. I don't want you to leave here and not act. That's the worst mistake you could make. Don't be passive about your business. Don't be passive about building your business. Here are the steps that I want you to take, right? Review the project materials. We're going to share our broker portal, but seriously, our sales office, is it an 8-minute drive even?
Not even.
Is an 8-minute drive. We have an expert sales team on that office. Go there. Get a private appointment. They'll take you through the ABC of the site. By the time you're done, you'll know everything about it. Does anyone here not have a half hour in their week to do that? That'll be time really well spent. Review the project material, connect with the sales team, visit the presentation center, and from there, when you already know what you're talking about, start proactively reaching out to your network. Don't try to close your clients over the phone. Don't call them and say, hey, I found LSQ, amazing project, let's buy. No. You're going to hear a no for sure. softly try to convince them the objective should be an appointment at the sales center. That should be your objective. Hey, what's your name? Yeah, what's your name? Yeah. No, you're in the back. Cheyenne? Yes. That's a nice one. Hey, hey, Cheyenne. I just finished this incredible presentation about a project, a pre-con project. I know that it doesn't feel like a great time to buy, but it actually is. Do you have some time to come down and check out the project with me? I think you'd be really interested. Guys, what's the worst thing they could say? Say it out loud and say it proud. What's the worst thing they could say?
No.
Who cares? Who cares? Seriously, who cares? Have you ever heard a no before? I hear them all the time. I hear them all the time. Now more than ever, actually. I hear them all the time.
How to turn the no into a yes?
You know, we could talk about that. But no is a part of the process. You're not going to turn every no into a yes. That's fine. Sarah, do you hear no's?
All the time.
It's part of the process. Go through the process. You know what you'll hear often, actually? You know what? I'm actually already in the market. I bought something. Oh, cool. Where did you buy? I bought it Galleria. And okay, when is it closing? It's closing next year. Amazing. When? September. Jot it down in your CRM. I called Cheyenne. He has a condo closing in September. I'm going to call Cheyenne every month next year and say, hey, how's that Galleria unit going? What's construction? Because I have a hot lead. Whether he's assigning it or he's leasing it or he's selling it, I know he's doing something with it. He's an investor. I have a lead, right? So even your no's have a certain level of value. So start loving the no's and start really proactively reaching out to your network, okay? I covered everything here. This is actually the reason I came, by the way. So now it's like, this is like a long-winded lead up into the reason I came here for.
I'm excited.
Is that good?
Yeah.
Was that okay, guys?
Yeah.
Are you guys happy we did that?
Oh, yeah.
Amazing.
Informative.
Amazing. I'm really happy. I really wanted to fly through it because when I heard Sarah speak, I was just like, you know what? We do something that really complements that well. And I thought collaboratively it could give you guys a lot of value. So I was outside. I texted Jeff. I'm like, hey, Jeff, do you mind if I take an extra 15 minutes to do this? He's like, no. I said, I don't care. No, I'm joking. No, I'm joking. He said yes. Okay, so we're here to talk about LSQ, which is Toronto's most successful launch of 2023. And we really mean that. This has been a really tough year for pre-con. It's been tricky to do deals, but we found a way with our first phase to do deals. We talked in the previous presentation about pre-qualifying the developer. Here you're dealing with Almadev. They've been in business for over 25 years, have over almost $3 billion of assets under management, about 25 buildings in its pipeline, and have completed over 6,000 units. Their specialty is master planned communities. They do not do standalone buildings. In their history, they've only done master plans. They've done Emerald City, which was 3,300 units. They have one in Montreal, 11 acres. Under construction is Galleria on the Park in Midtown, also almost 3,000 units. Vaughan Mills Mall, they actually bought some land right across from it. That's going to be a 3,000 unit master plan community. And of course, LSQ in North York, 8 minutes away from here, door to door, 1,600 units. That's the project we're focusing on. When we launched the first phase in March, it was incredibly, incredibly well received, and the market was tough. Check out this number. We had, actually at this point, over 70 pre-con high-rise launches this year. Over 70. Is it a hot market? 70 units launched this, or 70 projects launched this year. Only 6 of those projects have actually accomplished the sales targets required to build this year. Only 6 of those projects have surpassed 75% in pre-sales. Only 6 out of 70. That's 1 in 10. That means 90% of the projects that are launching this year will be delayed in their construction start. We talk about what that means financially. We talked about what that means for the developer's bottom line. And we talked about what long occupancy can do. 1 out of 10 projects will get going this year. The rest will have to wait until they actually hit their construction thresholds. LSQ is one of them. 1.6 million square feet, over 15 acres, over 1,600 units in 6 buildings, 100,000 square feet of parkland and retail, and almost 500,000 square feet of commercial space. This is the building right there. It's this guy. LSQ1 was here. Second one is right here. You could see the park in the center and then all the office buildings that are surrounded. The occupancy is 2028, so it falls within the sweet spot, as Sahir described it. It gives you a lot of time and a lot of time for the economy to recover. 30-story building, 338 units. Every floor, every unit has at least 9-foot ceilings or higher, and the product mix is Flex, by the way, for those of you who are not familiar, is like an oversized den. It's almost like a makeshift second bedroom. So we started in 1 bedroom with a large den, and we go all the way up to 3 bedrooms. Amenities, 14,000 square feet of amenities. Look at them, they're really beautiful. Lobby lounge, we have the outdoor lounges and the dining areas. You could see how much time and detail has gone into that. That's the fitness facility right there, the party room and the chef's kitchen. Our outdoor kids play area, so we're big on families in this neighborhood, so we're expecting a huge attraction for young families, so we've created a dedicated area for children to play in. Co-working lounges, we have the sports lounges, the games room, and even a content studio where you can come in, record a podcast, a green room, everything is in there for you, right? So when you're living here, it really is a whole, really carefully thought through community. Views, whether you're looking west, east, north, south, incredible views in every direction, not obstructed. 66% of our floor plate is actually our 1 bedroom and flex, which again is the oversized dens, starting at about 480 square feet, right? 1 bedroom and a big den with 1 bathroom, and then at around 550 square feet, we have the big dens with a full second bath. So it could be really a makeshift home for 2 people, right? 2 bedrooms are starting at around 650 square feet. All of that leads to really unique investment opportunities in North York's really most exciting and newest best master plan. This is where we're located. This is the DVP, Shepherd, Victoria Park, and the 401. We're right on the corner there, 15 acres. What do you guys see a lot of here? Or maybe not a lot of? Do you see a lot of buildings here? I want to talk to you for a second before we talk about that. I want to talk to you about the benefits of investing in master plan communities. In the last 30 years, anyone that invested in a master plan community instead of a standalone project has actually seen greater returns. You know why? Part of the big reason? There's 2 main reasons. Number 1, you are aligned with the developer, and I'll tell you what I mean. If a developer has 1 building to sell and 1 building to build, and they sell it out, right? They build it, people move in. Does the developer care if that building is worth more or less after they've sold it? Yes or no, guys? No. Why does the developer care? They already sold it. If they sold your unit at $700,000 and a year after closing it's $500,000, does the developer care? No. If a developer has another 1,500 units to sell around you, do they care then? Yes. The benefit is that the developer actually is the biggest inventory holder in that area. So when you can control inventory, what can you control? Price. So here you get the perfect benefit of investing shoulder to shoulder with a developer who, just like you, wants to see prices go up. But unlike you, they control all the inventory in the area. So if prices go up, they'll release more units. But if prices stay steady or go down, they won't release any more units to make sure that the area recovers. So there's actually very little downside in a master plan community that doesn't exist in a standalone building. Does that make sense? Yeah. Yes. Secondly, is also the infrastructure. When you're investing in a master plan, you get the benefit of investing in a building that's surrounded by billions of dollars in new infrastructure investments. The simplest example I could give you is this. If you bought a unit at Yonge and Bloor before the subway was there, right? Subway comes in the next day. Is the property worth more or less? Guys, say it loud. More or less? More. Why? Is it because of the market? Because of the subway. This is exactly what you get at a master plan. The market will do what the market does. Maybe it goes down, maybe it goes up, right? But if you're surrounded by billions in infrastructure investments, if you're creating new parks, new school, new recreation areas, new employment opportunities, new transit, do you think that stuff is going to have an impact on the property value that has nothing to do with the market? Yes. That's what we're talking about at LSQ. So investing in this perfectly sized master plan community is an incredible opportunity to leverage those billions of infrastructure dollars into your own client's pocket. Transit, the Metrolinx has identified the Shepherd extension to be a secondary priority line, which means that we will get an LRT along Shepherd. But because we're right beside Fairview Mall, we have the Don Mill station right there, literally up the highway here. So what we did is there's an express shuttle right now, day one, when your clients move in, there'll be an express shuttle that will connect them right into the subway station until the LRT is there. Within Consumers Park, so the area is called Consumers Business Park, Consumers Road Business Park. A lot of people don't realize already today, it's actually one of the largest employment centers outside of downtown Toronto. There's 20,000 office jobs in the park. Through Consumers Next, the city wants to add another 13,000 jobs, right? That is incredibly, incredibly meaningful. So commercial landlords are starting to pay attention. In July this year, we've seen almost 1 million square feet of office trade hands for hundreds of millions of dollars because we're starting to see major employers coming into this business park, and the reason why is very simple. Do you guys remember COVID? Anyone here? We would all like to forget. No, I'm with you. I'm with you. I'd love to forget that.
I'd love to hear the 11 minutes to Toronto, though.
Subway.
Okay, good.
Subway. But Toronto, not like downtown core.
Okay.
No, but for here, it really took us like 7 minutes. We just did that drive. Anyway, here's what happens during COVID, right? A lot of the young professionals that worked in downtown Toronto, what they've done through COVID, they start working from home. They thought working remotely will last forever. They couldn't work 24/7 and live 24/7. You couldn't go outside. They couldn't do it from their 600 square foot condo. So we've seen a massive out-migration of young professionals leaving the core and going into the GTA. So far makes sense? Right? They wanted more space. So they traded their 600 square foot condo for a semi, for a townhome, for a detached, whatever they did. That's why through COVID, if you remember, we've seen a massive increase in pricing in low-rise homes in the GTA cities, right?
Yeah.
The problem happened when COVID ended. All of these employers wanted their employees back. Now, the employees that used to live right at the core didn't want to come back to the office because now it's a really long commute for them. So they've resisted. So what employers started saying is, hey, if we create a secondary office space for you to come in that's maybe 10, 15-minute drive from your home, would you come? People said yes, they want to come back into the office. They don't want to work from home anymore. So we've seen a massive, massive shift as far as the employers that are in our park. Now our biggest employers in our park are companies like American Express, Rogers, Sun Life, Reliance, Enbridge. These are companies that are recession-proof, right? Like Reliance and Enbridge, the companies that sell us our electricity and our gas, are they going out of business anytime soon? No. Statistics Canada, Insurance Bureau of Canada, Sony, Sun Life, American Express, Rogers, these companies aren't going anywhere, right? So we're starting to create incredibly well-paying office jobs in the park by these employers. The problem is that we don't have the inventory. If you look at North York along Yonge Street, if you look at Yorkville, if you look at the downtown core, the blue bars represent available units for sale. The orange bars represent available units for lease. The average is 135 units for sale and 134 units for lease. At LSQ, there's less than 20 units for sale and for lease. There's no inventory because we're in the early stages of the development cycle there. But it's all coming. Right? It's all coming. The transit is coming. The jobs are there. We have 90% less inventory for sale and 90% less inventory for lease. There's nothing there. There's no inventory there. You could check it out yourself on MLS. But the prices, the upside on the prices is massive. If there's anything that you're going to listen to today, listen to the next two slides. Okay? Hopefully you've listened to more. One bedroom and then at LSQ starts at, call it 630. In North York, it starts at 775, 781 in Yorkville, 760 in the downtown core, right? You're talking about a premium of $134,000 to $153,000, right? Or an extra, call it about $1,000 a month on their mortgage, okay? For a one bedroom and then with 2 baths, we're starting at 690. You're talking about premiums anywhere between $130,000 to $280,000, or anywhere between $900 to $1,600 more per month on their mortgage, right? 2 bedrooms, same thing. 3 bedrooms, same thing. You guys get this slide? It's really important because the next slide ties into it. This slide shows you one of those exit strategies that we've spoken to.
I've got your hands or your body in front of the screen.
I'm sorry, I'll move out of the way. You know what? Come do this for me. Come do this for me.
Yeah, just have a seat, right?
She'll take it from here. Ultimately, assigning, making money, capital appreciation, that's great. That's actually one of the biggest upsides in pre-con, for sure. For sure. And it's going to happen in 5, 6, 7 years, for sure. But the cash flow, guys, is so important. The cash flow is so important. Average, these are MLS statistics, by the way. Average rental around LSQ rents for $2,774. In the Young Corridor in North York, rents for $2,900, call it. In Yorkville, call it $3,100. In the downtown core, $3,000, right? Here's the logic. In North York, you're getting another $113 a month. You guys see that? That's costing you, because the price premium, that's costing you another $930 a month to carry. Negative cash flow of $800, right? In Yorkville, you're getting an extra $300 a month. Good, right? Not unless you look at what you're paying, which is an extra $1,500 a month on your mortgage. Negative cash flow, $1,100. In the downtown core, you're getting another $240. You're paying an extra $1,500 a month on your mortgage. These are real figures. How many of you here have buyers that are willing to pay $1,500 a month out of pocket? What, no one? You do? Really? Okay, one. Anyone else? No? No? How many of you have clients that could bear paying for 3, 4 years $1,000 out of pocket every month? That shouldn't be a strategy. Don't buy real estate based on hype. Buy it based on economic fundamentals. And Sarah, I'd love to hear your perspective on it later, because maybe I'm not getting the whole picture. But generally, 99% of buyers do not want to be out of pocket $1,500 a month or $1,000 a month. There are opportunities in the city where they don't have to and still get the upside from the appreciation. You don't have to pick one or the other. You could get both. LSQ gives you that. In the last 5 years, cumulatively, rents in Vaughan went up by 15%, in Toronto 17%, in Mississauga 18%. In LSQ, rents in the last 5 years have risen cumulatively by 26%. Not a coincidence. We have a ton of jobs outside of your front door. High-rise sales this year, we're going to actually probably break a negative record. This has been probably one of the lowest sales years in pre-con since we've started recording the statistics, especially in the last 10 years. So low sales this year do have an important impact that you guys need to understand. Every year, the green bars represent delivered units. Every year, on average, we deliver almost 17,000 new units to the market, right? Some years more, some years less, but generally the average is 17,000. Remember how we talked about construction being tied to pre-sales and how quickly a developer can sell and get to 70%? Remember we talked about that earlier? Low sales in 2023 means record low occupancies, record low delivery of units in 2028. Does that resonate with everyone? If we don't sell units this year, if 90% of our projects failed to accomplish those 70% that's required to start building this year, the developers are not building them. They're going to start a year later, and the units that were supposed to come in online here, which we really desperately need, because we do have a massive affordability crisis and a ton of immigration, they're going to get deferred to 2029. So if you buy today at a project like LSQ and you go against the grain, you're going to get your unit in a year where there's hardly any new inventory coming online, because most developers that plan to start this year won't, right? Do you see the upside in that?
Yeah.
The two are very, very intrinsically tied together. In addition to that, mortgages. The 6 major financial institutions in Canada have all pretty much agreed on their forecasts. By the end of Q2, we're going to see interest rates drop by up to about 30%, right? What happens to the market when rate starts to drop? Prices go up. Here's an important message for you guys, and I'm serious about this. I know we've been joking around. We had a lot of fun. I had fun too, but here's a really, really important message, okay? I know right now doesn't feel like the right time to buy pre-con. I know it doesn't feel like it, right? It doesn't feel like it. But if you look at all the economic fundamentals, if you look at this, if you look at this, if you look at things like immigration, if you look at things like trades, skilled trade shortages, it may not feel like the right time, but all the economic data actually indicates that it is the right time. It just doesn't feel like it, right? If your clients would know all of this, do you think they're more likely to make an educated decision to buy if they had the money? That's our job. Our job is to educate them so that they know the facts, and then they can decide not based on hype, they can decide based on fact. They can decide based on merit, based on information. That's the best way to make a decision, is having the information. So even though it doesn't feel like the right time, push yourself out of the comfort zone, get familiar with this information, and then reverberate it out to your network. Prices at LSQ start at $629 and go up to about $950, by far the most competitive pricing in North York. 60% of the units are priced under $800,000, and incentives are incredible. We have the free assignment, we have the right to lease during occupancy, we have the cap development charges, $10,000 off of parking, all that good stuff. In addition to that, we have an incredibly attractive deposit structure for units either under 850 square feet, 5% in 120 days. 5% in a year, 5% in 2 years. Units over 850 square feet, 5% in 4 months, 5% a year, 5% in 2.5 years. A lot of time for your buyers to actually be able to put their money down.
It's 15 total, right?
15 total until occupancy, which is, again, 5 years away.
Yeah.
On top of that, we've added some extra benefits for Signature. You get the 1-year free maintenance. That's up to additional $9,000 in discounts. You get to purchase with only $30,000 down until March of next year, $10,000 off of parking, and in addition, you get our promo of $8,000, $12,000, and $15,000 depending on what kind of unit you buy. So we've really put out the best that we could for you. Take a picture of this broker portal, scan it, log in. All the information is there. I'm sure you guys have a portal internally with all the information is there also. Guys, Sarah was talking about posting on social media. We have social media posts ready for you here, literally titled as Transit Social Media Post, Architecture Social Media Post, Park Social Media. Like, use them. We have videos there, everything for you to upload. There's no excuse not to do it. There's no excuse not to do it. Take advantage of this. Does anyone have any questions? Wow, I did a great job. on that note, thank you. On that note, I just want to say again, thank you to Jeff, thank you for Sehr, and thank you, of course, to Mitch also, who's helped out a lot. And I really just want to say it's been such a pleasure being here. I'm going to stick around for another 10, 15 minutes. If you guys want to have a conversation, happy to do it. But thank you guys. You guys are a part of an incredible brokerage.
Don't leave just yet.
You guys are part of an incredible brokerage. These guys are doing everything they can to make you as successful as possible. This is a great place to be. So thank you so much. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, man.
That was a ton of information today. Huge thank you to these two today. Over the top, hit it out of the park, because you know when you're planning these events, you're never sure how they're going to go out of the park, guys. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I hope all of you today think about what you've learned today, what you've taken in. Don't, like as Ryan reiterated to you, don't just leave the room and think, oh, that was a great presentation. Yeah, I'm going to try this, this, and this. Go. The key thing now is execution. Think of 5 things that you learned today and put it into action. Book an appointment. Go to the sales center. Go learn a little bit more about the project. All the slides you saw here, you can bring your clients in. They have them there ready to go. They are so educated there. The team, Ryan's team, is just, again, put on a great presentation for your clients to make your job that much easier. So
Did everybody sign up for that free download, by the way? Yeah? So like,
Sales centers at.
what you guys can do is take that free download, take all the information that Ryan gave you, fill in all of those boxes, and it's literally going to give you the exact spiel that you have to talk about with your clients. And the best part is, when you call your clients, don't get into 100 different things. Like Ryan mentioned, just get them to the presentation center. The first question they're going to ask you, either what are the prices, where is it located, who's the builder? It's going to be super simple. You handle that first question. As soon as they start to ask you the next question, that's a great question. It's one of the things we're going to go over at the presentation center. What day and time is best for you? if you get caught into the loop of answering questions on the phone, you won't get the appointment. If you simply say that's what we're gonna learn at the presentation center, when are you available, keep repeating it. Great question, we're gonna go over it. Great question, we're gonna go over it. You'll get them there. Ryan's team knows this project inside, out, backwards, forwards. They're gonna be able to answer a lot of the details for you guys, and that's how you're gonna convert into sales.
Ryan wants that problem that he had with Sahar, where her clients just kept showing up, right, saying, here for Sahar's presentation. Emulate that, right? That is more than doable for all of us in this room. So a key thing, key takeaways today, guys, as Mitch is saying, is execution here. We've got to take these ideas and put them into action, right? So get your CRM working for you. Get out there, use the presentation that Sahara's and Mitch has so graciously provided for all of us. Put it into action, and then of course we just got to reach out to everybody we know and get them in the sales office.
Jeff, we've
Yes.
heard for a long time about you're not allowed to post, you're not allowed to do this with all these new projects.
Post away.
So has that all gone away now?
Well, the projects have gotten really smart because a lot of time you used to get fixed pricing, and now what Ryan and his team is such a great job. You get ranges now. It used to be a big issue with here's the pricing. Now they've given ranges. So that was when the market was really hot and frothy. They were very concerned about here's our initial launch price. Don't share that because obviously the goal, all developers, they like to move prices up as they go. But now they've given ranges, so you can share those slides that give those ranges.
So it's not a big deal, we can post and advertise.
Yep. And in the portal, you have a ton of really curated, like high production value content that you could really use. It's there for you to use. Really, it's really good.
With that one slide that gives that price, that shot on the price ranges.
Okay.
So everyone, I really want to thank you for your time today. We went about 20 minutes longer than anticipated, but I hope you got a lot out of it. Thank you very much, everybody. We'll send those slides out for LSQ. You'll have them, and Sahara's linking it. So thanks, everybody. Thanks for your time.